Targeting army and security personnel on leave in Kashmir appears to be the latest terrorist strategy in the state. On Wednesday, a BSF constable was killed outside his home in full view of his family. Raghavendra Rao has more.
He was home on vacation in Hajin, Bandipora district and therefore unarmed. That was when the terrorists struck. It appears their original aim was to abduct Constable Ramzan Parray, serving with the 73rd Battalion of the Border Security Force. But when he and his family resisted, the terrorists dragged him out of his house and shot him dead. They opened fire on his family too, injuring 4 of them, including a woman relative.
I'm outside the house of Mohammed Ramzan Parray, the BSF Jawan who was martyred yesterday by militants. This is the spot where the family members resisted with the militants and tried to stop them to go inside. But the militants, we have been told that, attacked the family members with knives and injured them and got inside in this room. You can see this is the room where Mohammed Ramzan Parray, the BSF Jawan, was martyred. Here he was at that time when the militants fired upon him and he was injured badly. And then the militants ran away from this place and came out of this room, but injuring Mohammed Ramzan Parray, the BSF Jawan, very critically. Here in this area, the family members tried to stop the militants, but they were attacked with knives, as per the witnesses says.
ये निहत्था था और मिलिटेंट थे, वो आर्म थे. उन्होंने इसके ऊपर और इसके फैमिली मेंबर्स के ऊपर शार्प वेपन से पहले हमला किया. उसके बाद इसको वेपन से इसके ऊपर गोलियां बरसाई हैं, तो ये शहीद हो गया. उसके बाद इसके जो फैमिली मेंबर्स उनको वैक्यूट किया गया जेवीसी हॉस्पिटल में.
शाम का हम सभी एक साथ बैठे थे. निकाबपोश आदमी आए अंदर घुसे. हमने उसके साथ बात करनी चाहिए पर उन्हें नहीं माना.
कितने बंदे?
4 बंदे निकाबपोश थे. अंदर आ गए. हमने कहा क्या बात है. उसने कहा हमें खाली इसका आइडेंटिटी कार्ड देखना है, हमें प्रूफ करना है. हमने उनको अंदर आने नहीं दिया. वो आ गए, शूट किया.
Parray's killing brought back painful memories of the killing of Army's Lieutenant Umar Fayaz. He too was home on leave in Shopian district when terrorists turned up, took him away and shot him. His killing was a brutal reminder that Kashmiri youth who choose to serve in the Indian Army or central police organizations like the BSF face considerable risk when they go home on leave. With Khalid Hussain in Srinagar, Raghavendra Rao, WION.
In fact, before we move on, do join us at 8:30 p.m. tonight for a special focus on Kashmir. Watch An Extraordinary Life coming up at 8:30 p.m. later tonight.
Can't beat them in the battlefield. Terrorists display utter cowardice. Target unarmed Indian security personnel. First Lieutenant Umar Fayaz, now BSF Constable Ramzan Parray. But the real Kashmiri men choose to fight for India. An extraordinary life at these times only on WION.
We're going to be talking more about what's happening in Kashmir. Senior journalist Rahul Jalali joins me here in the studio. Lieutenant General Vinod Bhatia, defence expert and former DGMO, he's live with me from New Delhi. We're on senior correspondent Raghavendra Rao, he's live with me from the newsroom. Raghavendra, coming to you. Another Jawan martyred. We've been talking about this right after Umar Fayaz. This seems to be some sort of a new modus operandi as far as the terrorists in the valley are concerned. What is your reading?
Well, indeed, Sana, and it appears as if, these terror groups, these terror outfits are now going all out to target Kashmiri youngsters, Kashmiri youth who are choosing to don the uniform of the Indian Armed Forces, the Indian Army or the paramilitary forces. Earlier, the sense in the valley, in the state, was that these terror groups, they used to abstain from targeting Kashmiris in particular who were working for Indian security forces or the local police. But now, there is a growing realization amongst these groups that a large number of Kashmiris are actually turning up to join the Indian Army and other central paramilitary forces. In fact, the kind of recruitment drives which happen in the state and the kind of response they have been getting, the number of Kashmiri youth, young people, young men lining up to get a chance to serve in the Indian Army, that probably is a worrisome factor for many of these terror groups. And it seems as if they want to send a message of sorts by targeting these Kashmiri men specifically.
Right. Mr. Rahul Jalali, I'll come to you in just a bit. Let me take a quick reaction from Lieutenant General Bhatia first. Another sad day, another Jawan martyred in the most brutal manner possible.
Absolutely. This is a very cowardly act, inhuman, barbaric, whatever it needs to be condemned. There is a desperation among the terrorists. The terrorists have been targeted by the Indian Army. In the last 4 months, over 160 terrorists have been killed, neutralized. And this is a very desperate act by the terrorists to target the security forces personnel who are on leave. This isn't happening. It's a desperate act because they find that a number of youth, a very large population of youth, is volunteer to get enrolled, to get recruited into the armed forces, into the army, particular, and the central police organizations. And if you see, there has been a recruitment rally for the territorial army on 30th of July, and there were 3,000 volunteers to get recruited into the territorial army for a few vacancies. And similarly, we have a very large population of our men who belong to Jammu and Kashmir, especially in Kashmir, from the Jammu and Kashmir Rifles, from the Jammu and Kashmir Light Infantry. Now, these are being targeted when they are on leave. Now, this is change which has never happened earlier. And even the police personnel are being targeted. So, this is a very desperate act. It's, I suppose, very inhuman, very bad, but it's what they are doing.
Mr. Rahul Jalali, do you agree, concur with Lieutenant General Bhatia? They become an easy target, and also at the same time, do you think they're trying to send a message?
Oh, yes, certainly. I mean, this message they've been trying to send, and they've also declared it, and their political offshoots of the separatists have also spoken so, that they did long time ago, to target Kashmiris who work for the Indian Army or the police forces. This is clear, but this particular incident, there are two things which are absolutely new about this. One, that it's happening in North Kashmir. North Kashmir, which is not infested with terrorism like South is. Bandipur and Hajin, especially the place where he's been killed, is a frontier area of Kashmir. So I think that warning bell should go on. And second, it's Lashkar-e-Toiba which operates in this region. Now, till now, traditionally, it's been Kashmiri origin terrorists who've been attacking Kashmiri soldiers in that sense. But this time, if it's true, it's a non-Kashmiri who have targeted soldiers in Kashmir. Obviously, they want to duplicate what happened in 90s when most Kashmiri people working for the police and army were targeted in an attempt to get them out of the security forces. The same formula is being used now, but it's not meeting the kind of success it got in 90s, which obviously is clear from what the general and your correspondent talked about the long queues, etc., etc. But I think it's a cause for worry. North Kashmir, which is free of terrorism, this happening is a warning bell for us, because will terrorism now shift its focus to North Kashmir also? I think that's got to be looked after. And another little point, which I need to emphasize. We know the warning is right there on the wall that all these soldiers, policemen, look at the number of police, Jammu Kashmir police, which has been targeted and killed. Let's not forget Ayub Pandit, the DSP who was lynched in Kashmir. And 6 policemen who were targeted and killed in Avantipur, in Kokonag, Kashmir. So there are a huge number of Jammu and Kashmir police who've been killed in these last 3 months. At the same time, the number of strikes terrorists eliminated is a record of sorts, because in 3 months, 150 have been eliminated. But I think what is needed is a standard operating procedure to be followed for soldiers and policemen who go home on leave, like you have for those who are functioning, operating in Kashmir. There should be do's and don'ts for these people too.
Those are important points that you made there, Mr. Jalali. Now, let's move on, take it a bit further. I'd like my guests and Raghvendra to please stay on with me. We move on to take a look at the other aspect. The line of control may be live practically every day. But the army's top brass in Kashmir believe they have the situation under control. Major General B.S. Raju, Commander Victor Force, that is responsible for the counter-insurgency operations in 5 districts of South Kashmir, called for a political initiative to solve the decades-long separatist problem in the valley. In fact, Major General Raju has said, and I quote, that the situation has been brought to a level where political initiative can be started. It is good to see political engagement has started. He was referring to comments by the ruling dispensation on New Delhi's willingness to hold talks with all stakeholders in Kashmir, including separatists. He further added, and I quote again, it depends on the political sagacity of the central government. It will depend a great deal on the central government. You can't police out militancy from here. Now, South Kashmir, as we've been talking about, was known as the ground zero of Jammu Kashmir militancy, with the highest number of attacks on security forces recorded here last year. But 73 militants have been killed this year in this particular region alone, more than twice the average number in previous years. And it is believed that about 120 armed militants remain, possibly 150. But it's not just the security establishment that says the situation is much better. Reports suggest that Kashmir figured prominently during BJP's national executive meet in New Delhi this week. BJP's President Amit Shah discussed it with Home Minister Rajnath Singh. The latter visited the state a fortnight ago. Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is scheduled to visit to the valley very soon. Now, going back to Rajnath Singh's visit, he had said the situation in Kashmir Valley has improved significantly over the past 1 year and some green shoots of peace are visible. That is something which the Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti also said. The state government believes it as well. Jammu and Kashmir State Tourism Department has launched a publicity campaign to woo tourists. Now known world over as Heaven on Earth, news reports over the last year have largely created a sense of fear in the minds of travellers. To change this perception of Kashmir and Kashmiris, the State Tourism Department has come up with a new campaign, Kashmir, the warmest place on earth, that doesn't focus on just the landscape but also highlights the warmth of the Kashmiris towards visitors.
ठीक है सर, वो तो उठाना ही पड़ता है। कहाँ चल रहे सर? डल लेक। डल लेक? हाँ, डल लेक चल।
But on the ground, a hunt is on to nab some of the most wanted terrorists who are active in the valley. Security forces have come out with a hit list a few weeks ago. And here are the names. These are the 5 most wanted militants in the valley. Zakir Musa of Al-Qaeda, Riaz Naiku of Hizbul Mujahideen, Saddam Padar of Hizbul Mujahideen again, Zinatul Islam from Lashkar-e-Toiba, and lastly Khalid from terror group Jaish-e-Mohammed. The fact that there is no let-up in the violence in the valley is something that cannot be ignored, and figures may not always convey the true picture. Pakistan-based terror groups are targeting security forces with renewed vigour. In fact, senior security and intelligence officials have warned that militancy continues to grow despite the elimination of the 4th Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists, 4 of them in the Uri town of Baramulla district this Monday. Officials say the continuing influx of terrorists from Pakistan and the emergence of new militants within Kashmir is adding to the problem. Now, coming to you here, Raghavendra, very quickly, if you can summarize what exactly is happening. There are different signals that one gets. There is a lot of talk about talks as well, but is that possible given the scenario?
Well, Sana, what has been happening in the valley is that you see some brief periods where there is a complete lull, and you don't see these terror groups making any strikes on the Indian defense forces or any other civilian establishments. And these phases of this lull are often misinterpreted by saying that, situation has probably returned to normal.
Right.
Now what needs to be understood here is that most of these periods when there is an apparent lull in terror activity, these are the periods when these terror groups which are originating from across the border in POK, they are regrouping, they are getting their wherewithal, their arms, ammunition and everything into place. If you just go month by month through, the instances of terror attacks,
right,
the kind of infiltration, the kind of ceasefire violations which have happened on the India-Pakistan LOC and international border, it's very evident that the heat is on from both sides. I mean, the terrorists are, they are not giving any let-up to their operations. Similarly, we have seen a renewed activity from the Indian defense establishment. The kind of operations we are witnessing, the past couple of months in particular, the kind of operations, the kind of encounters, and the number of terrorists who have been cornered and killed, it just goes on to show that yes, the heat is fully on.
Right.
And to say or to suggest that situation is under control or is normalizing, or we could look ahead at talks, it would be a little premature, because till the time you do not have peace returning to the valley, this assertion about having talks is meaningless.
Let me get in Lieutenant General Bhatia at this point. Lieutenant General Bhatia, what do you have to say? Mixed signals coming in, but reality on the ground is, do you think it's conducive for talks at this point? Ram Madhav has suggested, the Home Minister has suggested the same, the Chief Minister wants it, the central government is giving out all possible hints that they're ready for talks. The separatists, do you think they will sit across the table and negotiate at this point?
Yes, I think so, because the military operations have been very successful. If you see the number of casualties or the terrorists who were neutralized, and also the line of control, the ceasefire violations have definitely gone up. There's a spike, but the anti-infiltration grid is very good out there, and it's very effective out there. And the talks have to go on, because the military can only do so much and no more. If you look at the violence levels, they are high visibility attacks where the terrorists want visibility, and they're getting visibility out there. What's happened in Bandipur is a high visibility attack. They have gone and they have targeted. But similarly, if you look at the military operations also, they are very specific operations, targeted operations.
Right.
They are based on actionable information. That when the information is coming in, the police is more effective than it was earlier. The people of Kashmir are giving information, because information has to come from the people, and the targeted operations have been very successful. There have been no collateral damage whatsoever. The military, the security forces go in, they carry out very surgical operations out there. They just go ahead, neutral, and come back. So I think that the talks have to go on, and the political will has to be there to talk to the people concerned. And for the overall good of Kashmir, it is a political solution and not a military solution.
Mr. Rahul Jalali, you've just come back from a long tour in the valley. Also, you visited Jammu. You were talking about it. But what is the sense that you got on the ground when you were in Kashmir? I mean, what exactly is happening? What might happen? Will there be talks?
Well, I think the centre, because when the Home Minister and Ram Madhav, they visited the valley as well as they went to Jammu, they came out with very positive statements about a political dialogue which included the Hurriyat Conference. But the fact is, just after that Hurriyat Conference, or its leadership, some of its leadership has said no to talks. So while the centre, it seems, is ready to be on the table, the other side is not ready as yet, or denying it. But the situation is always there for talks,
but
military violence or not.
What are the separatists saying? Because the centre
I don't think the separatists are.
No,
I mean the separatists are not talking about that. The separatists are probably they've got NIA raids on their mind, though they have not openly spelled it out.
Right.
So in that sense, and secondly, do the separatists control the situation in Kashmir? I'm afraid not. If the centre has to reach out to Kashmir, they have to reach out to the different groups which have emerged over the last 1.5 years, which are unknown to Delhi, or at least the Delhi media. I think that is where the talks have to begin. And I am sure that there is a certain level of track 2 which is going on, because during the time the Home Minister and Ram Madhav was there were also civil society groups which quietly came to Kashmir. There was also a Congress delegation which went there.
That's right.
So they are talking. So talks does not mean that only the central government sits on the table with Hurriyat on the other side and those are talks. That is a formal sort of thing.
Yes.
But a contact level has been established in Kashmir. I probably will not go into absolute details about it, but that has started.
Right.
And I do not think we've reached a situation where the centre is sure that they need to negotiate with across the table with Kashmir. Secondly, I think major changes are going to occur in the local government too, but that's another story. A reshuffle is probably on the cards, with a new governor might also take over. So a lot of change is going to happen with the state.
All right, let's hope all those changes are positive. Kashmir has been on the boil for far too long now. No more of that. Thanks so much, Lieutenant General Vinod Bhatia, Mr. Rahul Jalali, and my colleague Raghavendra Rao. All right, with that, we quickly move on to the other big story. Amid growing defense cooperation, India and the United States have just concluded a joint military training exercise named Yudh Abhyas 2017 at Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington. The 2-week-long exercise, which began on the 14th of September, ended yesterday, and witnessed soldiers from both sides honing their tactical skills in counter-insurgency and counter-terrorist operations under a joint brigade headquarters. Both sides jointly trained, planned and executed a series of well-developed tactical drills for neutralization of likely threats that may be encountered in UN peacekeeping operations.